Hi, welcome to Critical Hit. I'm Matthew.
I'm David.
I'm Kyle.
And this week we're talking about Avengers 2 Age of Ultron.
There's no 2.
There's no 2?
There's no...
It's literally just Avengers Age of Ultron?
Yes.
The sequel to the hit movie Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron.
The Age of Ultron, which apparently lasted like a week.
The Age is kind of mistitled. I don't know. It should be just called... Why not Ultron? Why not just Avengers Ultron?
Ultron Week.
Ultron Week. The several hours in which Ultron almost killed the world.
The several hours
A single city.
It's the short span of this fantastic villain. Because it's a
one
Marvel movie, so
Soviet.
the villains can't live. Anyways, in Age of Ultron, which apparently isn't Avengers 2, just Avengers, Tony Stark gets this really good idea to build a robot to save the world. Not so much save it, just make sure that other aliens and stuff like that can't hurt it anymore because of Avengers. However, the robot is kind of evil and becomes Ultron, takes over a bunch of stuff, and tries to destroy the world by lifting a city and dropping it on the world like a meteor. It's kind of...
Spoilers.
Oh, they're watching the show. I'm
Come
pretty
on.
sure the spoilers and Quicksilver dies. Okay, are we happy now? Okay, good.
Tony make robot bad.
Yeah, robot really bad, robot destroy world. That's
Okay.
pretty much like the Avengers save the day. Like, that's pretty much the plot. So, going into this, there's been a lot of hype. So, it was one of the best pre-selling shows that ever. Like, there's so many tickets bought beforehand that it's big. It's really big. So
Yeah.
I want to know, as you guys as
Second biggest opening weekend.
yeah,
Right.
only to Avengers.
Yeah, Avengers beat it out.
So as Marvel fans, what did you guys think seeing this movie? Because we all did, yeah.
I thought it was very, very good, but at the same time, I kind of expected better. I went in there and had, I guess, unrealistic expectations or something.
It had to be perfect.
It had to be perfect, but it wasn't perfect. But mainly, I think this came from the fact that this movie felt much more like a sequel to Avengers, and you'd think, duh, Kyle. But I had really been expecting it to work with the other movies that happened in between the two. And I especially thought that maybe the characters would have developed along the same lines that they were doing. For instance, Black Widow was at a very particular place at the end of Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that she was actually there when this movie started up. And it felt very much like she was continuing the character arc from Avengers in Avengers 2, rather than any of the in-between stuff.
It skips the rest of the universe.
Right, and you see this, like, really with Tony, because...
Oh, yeah, especially because of Iron Man 3.
Love it or hate it, Iron Man 3 happens,
Yeah.
and there was the whole post-traumatic stress thing going on there, and you had none of that. You didn't have that ending that happened,
He doesn't
where
even feel
I'm
guilty
not...
about Ultron.
Exactly. I mean, he just kind of like. He created the supervillain like just on a whim almost.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
Yeah, it was weird, and...
He didn't even feel bad, like, ever in the movie for making a mega death bot.
And you really could have had a nice establishing thing of, okay, I'm not going to go around flying in a suit of armor anymore, so I'm going to make Ultron to replace me. That would have been a natural thing.
They could have fit it in well, and they didn't, which is really weird.
They chose not to.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt like because they wanted that really sick opening scene of all of the Avengers storming the bunker, basically.
They wanted you to know right from the beginning it's an Avengers movie. You have to
and Tony's here.
Well, it's that problem of the first movie, right, where it takes half the movie for the team to assemble.
Sure.
And, like, I guess, like, I can see from a...
No, they all jumped in it with that one pose
with
of
that
all of
one
them at
big
the same
punch
time.
scene. And I get that, and for me that was cool to see that, because, you know,
was
as a
fun.
director you want everyone to know, no, they're going to be Avengers throughout this movie, don't worry. But I agree. I think, for me, like, the biggest... I love this movie. I mean, I saw it twice in the opening night, and I was thrilled to see it the second time. I want to see it again. It's really good.
It is. No, legitimately, when I say I had a problem with it,
Yeah.
I just had, like, maybe some higher expectations based on universe building.
Yeah.
I really, really liked this movie and was thinking about nothing but it for the next couple of days while I was in classes and whatnot.
But for me, like, as the biggest takeaway is that this is the point where it's so much like the comics. Because even, like, the errors of this movie, in a weird way, are the same problems you have in comic storytelling. Where one writer says, no, we're going to pretend that didn't happen. Like Iron Man 3. No, Iron Man's fine. That was a dumb story. So we're going to make our own... Like, Avengers 2 is going to pretend that continuity never happened. You're having continuity errors, and you're having character dynamics while also having, like, Avengers...
I don't really think Batman acts that way.
No,
or I don't think
exactly.
that character should have come back to life yet.
But if you think about Age of Ultron, if you went into Age of Ultron, right, and this is the first Marvel movie you ever saw...
Sure.
You would be so confused.
Yeah.
You would just be so confused the
yeah.
entire time.
It's not like with Avengers, where with Avengers you could basically go and
pull it off,
and the plot was so simple that it basically worked. But yeah, I mean with this one you will not know you will not understand basically anything.
But
if you just walk in,
but the thing is,
because while they might not have matched where all of the characters, where the character arcs were coming from, hello dog. They might not have matched where the character arcs were coming from. They did a good job of actually dealing with some of the events of the movies.
Yeah.
That had come between the two Avengers films.
But for me, so if I went to that movie and I'd never seen it, and I went with you, and I said, "What's that all about?" You would lean over and say, "Well, if you saw, the Winter Soldier, you'd know that Hydra still is existing, and da da da."
Or issue 106.
Okay, I'm like, "Well, what's all those gems?" Well, you're like, "Well, that one's from Guardians of the Galaxy. That one's from Thor: The Dark World. That one's from." It's this point now where the movies are actually like the comic books, where there is no like. If you're a fan and if you've been reading them, or in this case, watching them the entire time, you will get every detail, and it's kind of delightful.
Rewarding.
And you'll notice the errors that other people won't notice.
Well, when it comes to continuity, there's positives and negatives.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like obviously it can be really rewarding when things click, but on the other hand, what has happened with comics where it's really kind of just not very receptive to newcomers.
Yeah. Does he want the dragon? I think he wants the dragon.
Oh, does he want the dragon? Okay, you can have the dragon.
Dragon.
Okay.
Dragon.
Yeah. But for me, it's as a comic book reader, this is the point I was so thrilled with, because now I feel like the movies are fully replicating the comic universe, all the pros and cons.
Yeah.
So as a comic book fan, I was just I'm like, this is so cool, because I just saw every Marvel movie again, and now I'm getting all these little references.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Well, for me, I mean, I think of it really in comparison to the first Avengers, which I liked the first Avengers a lot. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun movie, but at the same time, it wasn't very story driven. It really kind of felt like. It was sort of like the studio was kind of saying, "Cool, we got all these characters on screen. Let's just have them run out like a victory lap for them being all on screen."
Yeah.
And so while it was fun, I enjoyed it had the good snappy dialogue and I laughed a lot. It just wasn't really a great movie for me beyond just what it sort of achieved on a basic level. Whereas this movie, I really liked it. I thought the story was very strong. It was very story driven.
Yeah,
and
it really was.
And that ultimately, in my mind, just makes it a superior film.
Right, there were some weird flaws with the story that they chose. For instance, not having that establishment of not having as much of an establishment for why Tony builds Ultron.
Yeah.
Or
especially when there's that freebie from Iron Man 3.
And then, him being able to walk away like nothing ever happened at the end of having the entirety of the movie being his fault.
And I'm actually one of the weirdos who really liked Iron Man 3, so I mean that actually probably hurts me more than it hurts you guys. But although something,
he likes Iron Man 3.
He likes Iron Man 3 too, yeah. But a big part of it is that the original cut was apparently 3.5 hours long.
Oh my gosh.
And so they cut about an hour of footage off, and I really want to see that footage because I get the impression that even though there's a lot of story moments that feel kind of like there are parts missing.
Oh, some scenes seem really, especially the character scenes, seem kind of rushed.
Exactly. Yeah, and so I really hope they release a director's cut because I get the impression that the issues I have with the movie, I really suspect most of them will be solved by the director's cut.
No, I think that a director's cut would probably be a really good way to do this. I mean, we are going in a direction where this isn't just the superhero movie anymore, but we're going to have one that's split into two movies. It's being treated like the blockbuster epic kind of movies at this point. So maybe we can get director's cuts. Maybe we will get these sorts of things.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to discussing this movie, kind of like Avengers, the strong point of the first one at least, the strong point of this movie is the characters.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about the title character for starters. Let's talk about Ultron. What do you think of him?
I mean, for me, if you watched our review last month, you know that I think as a whole, the Marvel cinematic universe is pretty weak on villains.
Yeah, a little bit.
But this is one other example alongside Kingpin that really is the exception to that because I thought Ultron was a really great villain both in terms of how he was written and how he was played.
Yeah, actually, no, there was a lot of he had an interesting motivation. It was a fun way for.
James Spader.
For Spader to come out there, but it was also a really cool way for, Whedon to play with his own philosophies with the character.
Well, because, there's an element of, it's educated immaturity with Ultron. Where he's sort of like those, teens who, once they first realize that, okay, the world, there's a lot of bad things going in the world, they just become, hyper nihilists and don't care about anything. That's almost what Ultron
don't care about anything with us.
Well, and you watch him, I don't know, it was cool to watch him, learn things. Even from the very beginning, when he first comes into existence.
And he wakes up and he's like, huh,
this is weird.
Here I am.
Yeah.
I exist. That's interesting.
And it's really interesting.
Which was very well done.
Yeah.
I must say, I loved that coming into existence scene and his dialogue with Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, like compared to the comics, like it's a I don't know.
This is a very different character than the Ultron from comics.
I would want to say character assassination, but this character is so well made at the same time that I don't know if that's a fair thing to say. But he's completely different.
Because the comic book Ultron is maybe just a little bit more
robotic.
Yeah,
way more robot. For me,
I will kill Avengers because I will kill Avengers.
Yeah.
And there's
submit or perish is like his catchphrase.
There's none of this postmodern angst going on in the background with the character.
With all the biblical references, dribbled throughout.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked him in this movie. Overall, I really did. One of the problems I had though is that Ultron in the stories at least, where he fights in the comics, he's adaptable. So like if he gets beaten, he learns that, processes it, and then won't be beaten the same way. He can't be beaten twice. In this movie, Ultron learned things like, oh, I shouldn't chop off people's arms. That has consequences. Like sure, or like he had sentience, but he didn't learn how to beat his enemies. And even at the end fight.
And here's the thing:
like,
when he tried, he failed.
Yeah.
When he tried to upload his consciousness into a new vibranium body,
it backfired.
It didn't happen because instead that was the way in which they were going to build Vision.
Well, and I think a big part of that is honestly that with Ultron they were really looking for a one movie villain.
Here's the thing. I think that Whedon and Spader both did a remarkable job with this character. It was, Spader was the perfect casting choice.
When I first heard Spader was cast, it just seemed so out of left field because I mean the last thing I had seen him in was way back in Stargate where he played like a nerd. So to me it was just like what? Why? But he was really fantastic.
I've been watching him in what was it, Blacklist as Red, and just such a great presence there, and
I think he
just brought the game. But my one issue is that when we look back, it's a Whedon movie. It's a Whedon movie, so everyone's going to have snappy dialogue no matter who they are.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
if they're supposed to be a robot.
Yeah.
Which, rewards us with a really interesting character.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fact that it's a follow-up to Loki, and we again have this character who is snappy dialogue back and forth with Tony Stark, it just kind of feels a little one-trick following that up. And in a way, I think that might be a little bit true for a lot of this, is that sense of humor kind of continued. It was very similar to the first in a lot of ways.
It's the way Joss Whedon writes dialogue.
Yeah,
on one side, it's snappy and funny, but on the other hand, it can kind of deflate the seriousness of moments. And that was that was at times an issue even in this movie.
It works in particular scenes, but I do agree that a lot of characters get funny that not necessarily should get funny. Even characters like
they start to sound similar.
Yeah,
in that respect. They all start to have Whedon's voice. But anyways, I mean, all in all, loved Ultron, thought that, writing, directing, acting, it was all very, very good job with that character. So.
What about, the Avengers themselves, though? Let's talk about, what, for me, one of the big things I took away, was, I almost wanted to rename this movie, Avengers 2, We're Sorry Hawkeye about Avengers 1. Because, this movie gives him so much love.
Yeah.
And the last movie really didn't give him anything.
Well, it's kind of weird that he's even in it with the first one as a distinct character.
Yeah, because he's mind controlled until the last fight, basically, and then just Legolas's everything. But, in this movie, a good chunk of the movie is dedicated to him.
He hacks a computer with an arrow, though.
Yeah, I mean...
He did do that, and he led the full assault on everything while Loki was sitting around impotent in a cell, doing nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys think of, Hawkeye's character in this? Because, before this movie, people didn't care at all, but I think that after this movie, people are gonna, love this character.
Yeah, let me just say something about this. What they did was, they took an interesting route with Hawkeye here, and instead of doing, more of the main Marvel Universe, or even, the more recent stuff, where it's kind of slightly angsty Hawkeye, blue-collar Hawkeye going on, in, the Fract and Aja stuff.
That stuff's good.
They decided to go ahead and do the sort of the ultimate verse, where he is married and has a family and all of this.
Yeah.
Well, and that was just, it was a really good, it was a very elegant solution, because it happens very quickly, but it still communicates a lot, and it actually makes him more interesting in hindsight. When you look back to, mind-controlled Hawkeye, I mean, that's more tragic when you realize, oh, this guy has a family.
This guy has a family. Also, he's the guy who comes home after a day's work.
Exactly,
He's a military dad, is what he
he
turns
really
out
is.
to be.
And it worked incredibly well in this movie. Even the way that they set it up in the movie made it seem like he was keeping it a secret from everybody, and it almost seemed like he was going to lead the party of Avengers to like Nick Fury.
Yeah,
but instead he takes them to like one of his mini safe houses.
Well, I mean, it's kind of where he's actually uncomfortable with mixing his private life and his superhero life, and that's a cool conflict.
It's weird how rare that is in superhero movies, though.
Yeah,
like it's just uncommon nowadays to have people balance.
It's strange because he's the most mature person on that team.
Yeah,
easily the most mature person. He realizes that you don't mix these things here. You try to keep things separate.
And the thing is, and you don't notice it, and the reason you don't notice it is because he's the most mature person on the team, because he doesn't have to flout his own persona.
I love that we're talking about how great a character Hawkeye is in our review here, because what an amazing job on this character. Mm-hmm. In a way, it's like Tony's looking at his life and going, wow, this is kind of cool. I wonder if Pepper would be into this sort of thing.
Yeah, he even talks about that with Captain America.
This is who Tony Stark wants to be when he grows up.
No, that's fair.
And I love that. I love this approach. I love that they actually gave him also a wife who could banter with him.
Well, they gave him a wife and family, and they avoided all the tropes. She wasn't like, no, don't go back, I'm so worried for you. Like, when he's like
supportive military mom.
She even says to him, like, no, they need you. Like, and he's the guy with the bow and arrow. Like, he's
he's the guy that everyone could joke is kind of useless if they wanted to.
Also, it gave, It established him as this kind of fatherly character, this mentor figure, for when they were going to have him connect with the twins later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like he could say, they're not villains, they're just a couple of punks, they need to be taught a lesson kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not that I have to defeat them, he actually can see things in a different way.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because so much what you get in these superhero movies is bad, good, punch, punch, punch. And, having someone who can recognize the potential in someone else like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was really mature.
Even that great scene between him and Scarlet Witch is just fantastic, where they're in the house, and he's just like, I can't help you right now. Either you can stay here and take care of yourself, or you can walk out that door and be an Avenger. Like, it's a really good scene, where you just tell that he's reaching out for her and helping her, and realize the things she needs to become.
Well, and he's able to connect to her on a human level in a way that it's firm but still compassionate.
Yeah.
It is. And I just liked Hawkeye as a mentor figure.
Yeah. I will say it was a little surprising to me, given Avengers, because in Avengers it seemed like Black Widow had like tension with him, like of a romantic sort in certain scenes.
And I think that most viewers probably felt the same way.
It was really surprising, but in this movie they really established very well that they're just really solid friends. And it did a great job of relieving that tension.
It's a semi-sibling relationship at that point, with her being like the aunt to the family.
Yeah.
And that worked very well and explained everything.
Yeah. What do you guys think of her character in the movie?
Again, I had the issue of she didn't seem to develop off of Cap 2.
Yeah. Yeah,
as well as she could have, but I honestly, I liked her. I liked that we got some of her backstory in this.
That was so fantastic.
That was really good.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and what I liked about her really is I actually really liked I liked her relationship with Bruce Banner, because even though it comes out of nowhere in the sense that you don't see any kind of leading up to it in the previous films, I feel like it made sense to me that their characters would connect.
Because
they both have self-guilt is just like a huge part of both
characters.
Both characters. So it only makes sense that they bond over it.
Yeah, especially when she's viewing herself as a monster and he is a monster. It worked really well. The theme of monster is also just fantastic in this movie. For me, overall, I'm okay with that romantic development in this movie. I feel like it worked. My problem, though, is that because of the way the character is as Black Widow, it just seems like she's always a not necessarily a romantic interest, but like a romantic or sexual tension in these movies. Okay. Like, if you think about Iron Man 2, she has that tension of sorts with Tony Stark. In Avengers, she has it a little bit, I would say, with Hawkeye. Which is relieved and solved in this movie. But then you have Captain America 2, and she has like this flirtatious banter with him throughout the entire movie.
As she's trying to hook him up with other...
She is trying, but at the same time, the way she talks to him is that flirtatious thing, and hear me out. I totally get that that's part of her character, that she uses her sex, she uses flirtation, she's powerful in that. Yeah. It's just really frustrating to me as a viewer to watch our first heroine be that kind of character, because it makes her seem like her emotions are loose, that she can connect with any guy, but it also makes her seem like that because she's the only female heroine until this movie, every heroine is kind of like her.
Well, and there's an element of laziness to it. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, well, who will we have a Black Widow flirt with in this movie? And,
Exactly.
And in this case, it happened to work really well. But the pattern is still a problem.
I think this movie did the best, and I think this movie developed her character the best by far. But for me, it's just super frustrating because since she's the only female we've got, it makes it present her as this is how female heroes interact with male heroes, and it just.
Though now we also have
Scarlet
Witch.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
And she was a good character.
Yeah, she
was
really
good, and mostly the relationship that we see with her is with her brother, and that's just a completely different kind of romance.
Yeah,
since this isn't the Ultimate Universe. Oh gosh, good lord.
No, the Maximoffs are super good in this movie. I mean, they don't get. I don't feel like Quicksilver especially gets a lot of screen time. But their
you didn't see that coming.
Well, actually, part of the problem with Quicksilver is well, we already said it, is that he dies at the end, and the problem is that he just isn't. They didn't make him interesting enough for that death to really mean something.
I actually like the job that the actor did with him.
I think
I like the actor's job. There just wasn't substance. Did
you guys see? Isn't
got
it the same guy who was in Godzilla?
Oh, it was the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy's Godzilla.
The one that we were all like, oh wow, this character's really bland.
yeah. No, he did way better in this movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I think he also only got like 10 lines. Like,
well, again, a problem which I don't want to hide behind this for every flaw this movie has, but I really suspect that he had more to do in the director's cut, in the original cut. In that, I think when the studio was cutting it down, they were thinking, well, Quicksilver's the least important character. Cut his scenes.
Because he died. Yeah. So he's not that important.
I'm guessing.
Well,
I really hope
not
so.
just that. I can see, like, if you think of it like on a larger scale, because Fox owns the rights to X-Men and Quicksilver is an X-Men in their movies already. Yeah. It also makes sense why you would want him out of this universe, and especially since like with Scarlet Witch being so established now by the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, and especially since they only showed her as a baby in
X-Men
Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
So basically, it's each parent got one of the kids in the divorce.
Yeah, basically Fox and Marvel.
Yeah.
But for me, so I get that death, but I totally agree that it felt like we need to kill an Avenger to show that we're serious.
Yeah.
So let's kill the Avenger we don't care about.
And that's what it felt like to me. Too.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that's a crutch for Whedon, honestly, is to do that.
Yeah.
The having to kill somebody off. I mean, you did it with Coulson. You did it here.
Yeah. Well, think about
It's just how it feels.
But even the way it built up was so frustrating.
I felt like
that's my problem.
I actually felt like the best death scene in this movie was Jarvis.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Honestly, I thought that was a great.
That was great.
With Cap and everyone hanging their head for Jarvis.
I felt a lot more for Jarvis than I did for Quicksilver.
I agree. I completely agree.
Well, I mean, we've had Jarvis for several movies now to get attached to.
At least 5 movies.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's one of the things. Though. As much as I loved Hawkeye and getting that background, showing he had the family, it was playing on. Whedon was brilliantly playing on the Hollywood trope of making you attached to this guy so that when you kill him later
you'll feel more tragic.
You'll feel more tragic. And so there
a baby on the way.
And so
Hawkeye can't die.
He's almost Goose at that point.
He was only a week from retirement.
2 days from retirement and fresh from the academy. But he's. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
As he's going, there's this constantly building on top of that again and again and hammering that emotional point.
Especially
he's going to die.
A great guy. He's a great guy. He's got a great family. Everyone loves him.
He doesn't actually belong out here. He's a normal guy.
He's a normal guy. He's got no chance.
He got wounded earlier.
Yeah.
It seems like he's going to have to prove himself and die. But Whedon hammers on it so much that you're just like, come on, man, quit messing around.
Oh yeah.
You know, early on that he's not actually going to die. What are you really going to do? Because when Whedon actually kills somebody, it comes out of nowhere. I am a leaf on the wind. Watch how I soar.
Right. Yeah.
Shunk.
And just, for me, it's also, so demeaning to the character Quicksilver, because how does he kill him? He kills him with a Whedon joke, right? That, didn't see that coming, was played throughout the movie.
Well,
and it's the last thing he says.
It was a reoccurring line, but I wouldn't call it a joke.
I still think it was played as a joke, because it's being meta at that point. Didn't see that coming. He's not talking to Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah.
He's talking
to the audience
he's saying,
who thought
take that audience, I killed
Quicksilver. The ones who actually fell for that he was going to die.
Well, the sad irony is I actually kind of guessed that Quicksilver was going to die, because I heard a character died, and I thought, well, which character will they kill without hampering the franchise the most? Quicksilver. And so I guessed. I mean, I actually didn't really pick up really on the foreshadowing of Hawkeye dying. So I don't know if that makes me really smart or really stupid. Frankly,
you saw through it.
But I saw through without realizing I was seeing through it. But
No, I think that's for me. That's one of the biggest problems with this movie. It's just like, I don't know. If you're going to kill a hero, at least make it like.
It's a waste of a death scene.
Yeah, it really is, and he could have been given such a better, more deserving death.
Yeah. But it might be fixed in the director's cut.
Yeah, that's true. Everything could be fixed in the director's cut. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope it's really good. I guess like the last topic I really want to hit home for this movie that I've been thinking about is we've talked a lot about the continuity at the beginning. And one of the things about this movie that's interesting is how this is like the first time where a movie's gone out of its way to ignore continuity in certain points, especially Iron Man.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, like, does that make you guys like wonder about the continuation of the MCU? Like, do you think like this is going to have ramifications because this movie's saying, no, Iron Man 3 didn't happen, Winter Soldier, whatever. Avengers 2 though.
Well, that's part of the thing. Part of the one problem with how they're making the movies is that Marvel, they have a lot of control over the movies, but they're still being written by different people. Yeah. They're still being directed by different people. They're still we've seen in very unfortunate ways the conflicting interests of the studio and the filmmakers manifest. I mean, largely Iron Man 2 wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was largely because the studio wanted to do things that Jon Favreau didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And so it ended up just kind of being, the screenplay ended up being kind of a mess.
Well, even Iron Man, like not just Iron Man 3 and Cap movies have been ignored, but even like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is completely ignored.
Well, and a lot of that is Whedon saying, basically they're two separate things. For as far as the movies are concerned, Coulson is still dead.
Yeah, but
and he's been saying that lately.
That's weird because
which is weird when he's working with both of those things.
he created Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He started the show. It's like it's just weird because like I think
he's just being grumpy.
Yeah, the strength.
I think he needs a nap.
But the strength of the MCU has been its cohesiveness, and this is the first point where we're really seeing strong continuity differences, continuity errors, continuity ignorance. Like that just didn't happen.
And that will happen though.
But do you guys think that's going to continue? Is that going to be a problem we're going to see more and more of?
We're going to see a little bit of it more. I think it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's going to be a real problem, I think is up to... ultimately, it's going to fall on guys like Feige in the studio.
Exactly. Ultimately, it's up to the filmmakers. I mean, it's the thing where it does frustrate me that this movie does not feel like the Iron Man is the same Iron Man as in Iron Man 3. That because I really did love Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm if the movies overall are good, I'm willing to accept it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have the people who can play ball and the people who can't. And I think that the people who can play ball are going to get rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For instance, I think that here's what's happening. We are getting... Joss is done.
Yeah.
He had a good run. He made two really great movies.
Yeah.
And now the Russo bros are stepping in. The guys who did Cap 2.
Which is fantastic.
Well, and they're doing Civil War, and they're also doing...
And they're doing the Infinity War
Exactly.
movies.
They're taking over Avengers.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. With Infinity War, it needs to be this big, gravitas-driven thing.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it can't have all of the zany, witty, snappy comeback
dialogue.
Heavy,
yeah.
It needs to be heavier. Yeah. So they picked the guys who did that rather than Whedon, and I think that's a really good choice.
Yeah.
Though they're still humorous. There's going to be some of that in there.
Yeah.
But I think it's just going to have a tone that's more conducive to the shared universe, to the shared universe idea.
Especially when we're reaching that point, because hopefully by Infinity War, we're going to pull in every character Marvel can get their hands on in these movies. And just because that's what needs to happen. And this movie did a good job of doing that. This movie did a great job of introducing 3 characters and getting B characters and putting them on the spotlight.
Yeah, bringing back War Machine and Falcon.
This movie, it actually made me a lot more excited for Civil War because one of my problems was I felt like they were doing Civil War too early because they just didn't have enough. They didn't have enough of a roster. But this movie actually changed my mind. When I was seeing everyone with and Vision, I really want to know whose side does Vision fall on.
Yeah, that'd be really
we didn't actually talk about how great Vision.
Vision's fantastic.
Short story, Vision's really good.
Vision's really good, and that setup they did with the hammer early on, and also those sitting around moments where everyone's just talking and
I love that last scene between Ultron and Vision. I thought it was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
It has a really good this movie does a really good Marvel world in it, and those private scenes the party's fantastic.
I will say that I think that setting wise, this is one place where Avengers 1 did better because they
Avengers New York.
Avengers 2, it had the James Bond style, let's go to all the different cool exotic locations.
Yeah.
And it was fun like that, but they were only tangentially connected to comic book places.
Yeah.
They didn't actually go to Wakanda or what have you.
No.
But in the first movie, it was so heavily set in New York, and also was set so much in the helicarrier that you felt like you were pulled into that universe.
Yeah.
And you felt that thrust in your face rather than it was just taking place in this world.
Yeah, no, I think I felt more concrete. But I do think that even though this movie has some hiccups, if you will,
yeah,
it's going to set the stage. It set the stage very well for showing how you can have like 10 heroes, even like B-listers, on the same screen without a problem.
Yeah,
and have
I think for the most
really
part,
well.
characters. Everyone got attention.
Yeah.
Cap, I think, fell a little bit into the background.
Yeah, but even Falcon got like love in this movie, which is awesome.
Which was yeah.
But like, so for me, like, I just think looking forward, anyone who steps up to the plate to film these movies from now on needs to look at this movie to see, okay, how do we make characters interact? How do we try to give enough love to every character on the screen while also doing those big shots? Because those are really important. We have everyone fighting together simultaneously. So I don't know. I personally. Overall, this movie's fantastic. There are issues with it I have, but it's worth seeing.
And there's more issues in a movie this complicated, there's a lot of,
Yeah, sure.
There's more issues we can talk about.
And especially when you have a director like Whedon, where it's like, the pros, it's Joss Whedon. The cons, it's Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
But
this movie showed that you can go big with Marvel, right? Like this. In fact, I think this movie set the stage for me being okay with them going even bigger, with having more than 6 heroes, because that sounded daunting. Having 6 heroes on the screen sounded daunting before Avengers. Now having 8 heroes sounded daunting before Avengers 2.
Well, the fact that we're about to throw in Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, all of these other new characters. Spidey,
yeah. And frankly, they're definitely going to bring in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And that's another 5 characters.
That was good. Yeah.
They're going to, it set the stage for you can keep going bigger, and I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You worry, but then again, if anyone can pull it off.
Yeah, it's Marvel.
Yep.
All right, well, I think that's about it. Next time we're going to do Jurassic World, I think.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
What's wrong with Jurassic World? Do you not like dinosaurs?
Sorry, yeah. You were so obsessed with whether we could review something, you didn't actually stop to think of whether we should.
Ouch.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say?
Nah.
All right, sweet. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Later, guys.